Chapter 15, The Drakovian Nightingale. After your revelation at the Legislative Building, you march straight to the Royal Guard headquarters with Luke, Ruby, and Margaret in tow. We need to talk. Lydia looks warily from you to the small army in your wake. Margaret's eyes are puffy but dry. I take it you ran Astrid's DNA. Do you agree now that she's our best suspect in past and not just murders? We ran the DNA. Astrid is your father's daughter. Astrid is legitimate? I'm sorry, Lydia. Then... Captain? This means Mother knowingly let me serve as Drakovia's heir, illegally for 8 years. She let me believe that I belonged here in this office, in this family. You belong in this family as much as I do, Lydia. Lydia looks at Tristan, her eyes uncharacteristically uncertain. Tristan kneels beside her, taking her hand. You're still a damn good captain, Littles. And for what it's worth, a top 2 sister. A sister you suspect of murder. Astrid doesn't have a motive now. That only leaves me. We actually suspect Vasily. Colette steps forward, hand reaching for Lydia's arm, but Lydia collects herself quickly, the mask slamming back into place. Why? Vasily... has the strongest motive. He's been working behind the scenes for years, trying to maneuver himself into the line of succession. Using past to get the legislation back into debate, so he'd never look like he was power-hungry. Which was fine so long as I was acting as heir. When the act passed, his claim to the throne would have superseded mine. But then, I was dragged back to Drakovia and reclaimed the title. Vasily also compared Juliana, Nadja, and Sebastian's legacy to the song of the Drakovian Nightingale. The same bird whistle you found in Juliana's room. The one made of old royal craftsmen? Damn it. I always knew Vasily could be ruthless when he needed to be, but I never thought he was capable of this. So you believe us? I do. We need to act before he makes his move on Tristan. He failed to frame him, so his next move may be murder. Then, what we discuss here doesn't leave this room. Margaret, no one would blame you if you wished to remove yourself. Vasily used me. He murdered people I care about and pretended to support me for a convenient alibi. He is dead to me. Prince Vasily's dangerous and has been underestimated his whole life. If you want any hope of besting him, let me pull together a dossier on Vasily. Guy's definitely got the upper hand. Yeah, because your dossiers have really helped us until now. Yeah, if Vasily has been able to pull the wool over all of our eyes, we should use every edge we can get. Agreed. The dossier will help us prepare to face my brother. Let's hear it. Luke sets up his laptop on Lydia's desk and pulls up Vasily's dossier. These dossiers, think about this, we're at what? Chapter 15, 16? They haven't helped in the slightest. They're completely pointless, it's just BS we already know. Socialite, rich people code for unemployed, significant relationships, a bunch of people. Note, well liked by Drakovian people, he's seen as a patron of the arts, champion of tradition, generous dipper. Regularly compared to Tristan by tabloids when they're growing up, the dependable and patriarch, spare to Tristan's entertaining and responsible heir. Act for heir equity earned a swell of support amongst the common folk in favor of Vasily. Attended the prestigious Lake Siretis summer camp when he was 17, the same year Juliana Gregesco attended. Key figure in fundraising for the expansion of Draco's Children's Hospital, including a new art program to encourage mental stimulation and well-being for long-term patients. On boards of Draco's Opera Society, Historical Society, the Drakovian Film and Television Fund, and is even the president of the official Drakovian Book Club. Collaborated with Lydia Thorne to be reintroduced a 1800s dueling curriculum to Drakovian middle schools. Again, none of this helps us in the slightest. Lydia, you campaign to give middle schoolers access to swords? It's a transferable skill. You tap your chin, reading over the dossier again. Ironic that our killer has the cleanest record of anyone in the Thorne family. That's how he always got away with it. We all trust Vasily. He was the best of us. That's what I always thought. We were wrong. You look at the section alluding to Vasily and Tristan's perceived rivalry. The media positioned you against each other. Were the tabloids right about the rivalry? I didn't realize we were competing. Vasily never seemed to mind picking up my slack. He looks to Margaret and Lydia. Did he ever complain about it to either of you? Never. Constantly. If that's the case, he should have said something to me at the time. You've already decided that you hated Mother and Drakovian, the burden put on you by both. And that's if you were in the palace to talk to in the first place. You were a nightmare, actually. Would you like a hammer to keep laboring that point, Littles? If you have one handy. But you and Vasily were on good terms at some point, right, Tristan? We were genuine friends for most of our childhood years. We did everything together. So when did that change? I always assumed he lost all respect for me after Juliana died, but it was before that, when you and Juliana began your courtship. So did Vasily start dating Juliana at his camp? It was a 6-week retreat. Definitely possible. 2 attractive teenagers away from royal chaperones and prying tabloids for 6 whole weeks. Sounds like a perfect recipe for a summer romance. Casper said he found letters from Juliana in the fireplace, which means they continued their affair for some time after. Huh. When did Juliana get the idea for the act of heir equity? In college. She would have been 19. 2 years after summer camp, and only a couple years before she sent the letter her mother read in court. Vasily was 19 too. Machiavellian. So he was a very patient planner. But he's made mistakes. Murdering Juliana and Anja Sebastian hasn't been part of his original plan. No, he's panicking, and it's getting worse. Vasily's so close to getting everything he wants that makes him dangerous and vulnerable. We need to make a plan to take him down today. Colette looks dubiously at Luke and Ruby. Are we sure it's wise to involve civilians in this operation? You don't need to worry about us. We've taken down scumbags before. From the safety of a van? We'll need their help to lure Vasily somewhere to make the arrest, somewhere he can't slip away from. Lydia unrolls a map of the palace passages, tapping one of the rooms. Vasily's suite would be best. He'll be least guarded, and between me, you, Colette, and Tristan, we can easily block the 2 exits. We also need to make sure that he can't call for help. Our family cannot interfere if my mother hears what we're doing. So, we need someone to block communications, someone to distract the rest of the family, and someone to be the lure. The person who leads Vasily back to a suite needs to be someone he trusts. So you over your bowl of cereal. I'm not even kidding. Oh, come on now. She would have been the prime target, don't BS me. If it would have been, like, she could have gone to Vasily, been like, listen, I got some evidence, I need to talk to you and only you about it. Bro, alright, whatever. Who should lure Vasily to his suite? Margaret. Margaret sets her jaw and nods. I'll tell my big brother that I need to share some doubts about Tristan. If Vasily thinks I'm turning on you, he won't be able to resist. That should work. Who's going to block his communications? Well, that would be Luke, because he's Mr. Hacker wannabe. Luke cracks his knuckles in preparation. I'll create a Faraday cage around his room. Once he's inside, a signal won't extend further than his door. Which leaves Ruby to keep the rest of the family away from Vasily's suite. Don't worry about that. I can concoct a stink bomb so rancid nobody will step foot in the hallway for a week. Okay, we're trying to, like, not kill them. Mine is the next suite over. Then I suggest using your secret passage for a while. Then it's settled. When do we make our move, Captain? Tonight. We finally get justice for Juliana, Nadja, and Sebastian. A few hours later, you and Tristan wait in the Thorne siblings' secret passage, waiting for Lydia's signal to move. Tristan shifts his weight from foot to foot. His sword is drawn, his gaze focused on in the dim light. Hey. How are you holding up? I know you haven't had any time to sit down and process all this. I can process if we've locked Vasily in the deepest, darkest cell this country has. A voice crackles through your earpiece. I've left Vasily in his room. Avenge Bass for me. You and Tristan slip into the secret passage just outside of Vasily's room, waiting for Lydia's voice. On my count. 3, 2, 1. You and Tristan kick through the secret entrance to Vasily's suite as Lydia and Colette barrel through the other door. Ah! You've successfully ambushed Vasily. Wow. Welcome to the ambush. Confusion flickers in his eyes as his gaze moves from you to Lydia to Colette to Tristan. So, Margaret has chosen you. Again. It was never a competition, Vasily. It was always a competition from the minute we each were born. Ready, aim. You aim your taser. Vasily barely flicks an eyebrow. You're under arrest for the murders of Nadja Zorik, Sebastian Thorne, and Juliana Gregesco. Those are quite serious charges, Detective. The Drakovian Nightingale, we know. A beautiful bird, a symbol of true love and our lost nation. Unfortunately, you have no authority to arrest me, Chloe. She might not, but I do. Vasily looks back to Lydia. His face is scowling, faded. He stretches out a hand to his younger sister, appealing. Lydia, how many times have we discussed how dark a day it would be when Tristan takes the throne? Not because of any skill or particular compassion for Drakovian people, but because he just so happened to be born. Too often to count. How often have we agreed that it would be better if he were removed from the line of succession? Tristan stiffens a sword stance, shifting from aggressive to defensive. He eyes Lydia as Vasily takes an appealing step towards her. We can do it now, Lydia. With one strike of your sword, we can save Drakovia from the humiliation of having Tristan as king. He glances at Tristan, her fingers tightening on her sword. I'm gonna keep faith in her, but I got my taser aimed anyway. You keep your taser pointed at Vasily as Lydia considers his words. I have misjudged you, Vasily. I thought you respected me enough to know that I can't be manipulated so clumsily. Even more satisfying than I hoped. Yeah, I had my doubts about Tristan's suitability as heir, but that was before he came home. Before he proved that he could put other people's well-being before his own. Tristan moves beside you, his eyes wide at the clarity of Lydia's support. Lydia. Don't get sentimental, Tristan. It's the truth, not a compliment. Yes, well, ceasing to be a philandering fool doesn't mean that Tristan deserves the crown. And you do? The coward who cut our little brother's throat from behind? Vasily goes still, all emotion leaching from his face. Finally, he looks her in the eye. Bast was collateral for the interest of the country. Liar. Everything you've done for your own ambition. And what would you know about ambition, Tristan? Lydia raises her sword warningly. Colette follows suit. Come quietly, Vasily, or don't. Either is fine with me. His jaw tightens, and in the blink of an eye, he raises a severe, notched sword glinting in the firelight. That weapon looks nasty. Yeah, no. Either way's lethal. Kinda dig it, but at the same time... I haven't come this far to submit. Have it your way. Take him down. Lydia steps forward, brandishing her blade, but Vasily smirks. He seems calm, like he's waiting for something. For Drakovia, let me guess, Colette to backstab us. Suddenly, Colette draws her knife and hurls it through the air on a direct path to Tristan's heart. Tristan! In a flash, Lydia moves, unsheathing her own dagger and sending it flying on a crash course with Colette's. The two blades meet in air, scissoring off to embed in Vasily's walls. Colette? I serve the true king. Like I said, there was two people from the beginning. No, you betrayed him, and you betrayed me. Lydia and Colette circle each other as Vasily uses the distraction to slip into the tunnels. What the hell were we doing? Seriously! After him! You and Tristan dart forward. His sword lunges for Vasily's throat. Vasily! But he ducks nimbly to the side, catching Tristan's next blow in one of the notches of his strange blade. Tristan attempts to wrench his blade free as Vasily pulls him down the stairwell, snarling and spitting. You follow them down, hearing the clanging of swords behind you as Lydia and Colette draw closer. What are you waiting for? Tase him! You're too close. I can't get a clear shot. You'll never learn, brother. Vasily twists, snapping Tristan's blade at the hilt. As it clatters to the floor, the killer turns his gaze on you. Shoot Vasily with my taser. It's probably gonna hit, Tristan, but oh well. You run closer, aim for Vasily's chest and pull the trigger. He sneers and dodges, gripping your wrist firmly with one hand and twisting. You grunt in pain and drop the taser. This is why you should have a gun. You're literally going after people that kill people for fun, and you're literally using a taser. Before you know it, Vasily is behind you, a length of sharp wire stretched taut against your neck. Come one step closer, and I'll sever the detective's corduroy artery. Tristan hangs back as Vasily shepherds you deeper into the secret chamber. If you hurt her, Vasily, I swear. You swear what? What have you ever done, Tristan? Vasily threateningly pulls the garrote, pushing your chin up, your gaze tracking to the wall above you where a nimble snake-like weapon with a glittering head hangs. A weapon like that is flexible enough to avoid Vasily's swordbreaker, and it could get me out of this garrote. Oh my god, give me a break. You grasp at the snake's dart, pulling the head through the gap in Vasily's arms. He pulls the garrote tight, but you tug on the snake's head and tail, keeping the razor wire from biting into your skin. It's enough of a safeguard to allow Tristan to act. He pulls a sharp metal star from his belt and sends it spinning through the air. Vasily releases you, diving just in time for the star to sink deeply into the wall where his head had been. Next time I won't miss. As if you are the better swordsman. With a chilling scream, Colette crashes down the stairs, slumping at the bottom in a heap. And Lydia steps forth from the shadows. She kicks Colette's dagger away from the jerk of her boot. Colette. Looks like it's 3 against 1. In a challenge, Vasily pulls a pair of long, sleek daggers from inside of his jacket. He rushes at Tristan, 2 blades against 1. You search for an opening. The snake dart's ropey body is long and strong, its head heavy with a razor-sharp tongue. Keep the dart in motion, New York. The head is both a blade and a counterweight. Put it in Lydia's hands. No, we spent money on this shit. It's like Viper. You use the tail of the thing to, like, be a whip. You swing the head forward, spinning its weight like the blade of a helicopter. When you have enough momentum, you release. The snake's head hurtles at Vasily, the sharp tongue catching him in the wrist. He drops his blade, giving Tristan an opening to slide out of the corner. You pull the dart back to you, spinning for another attack. Vasily turns on you, amusement and anger flickering in his eyes. You shouldn't play with other people's toys, Chloe. But I'm having such a good time. Glance at Tristan, he nods and straightens, tossing his broken sword aside. Vasily advances on you. No, aim low means he can duck. Aim low. Lash out the rope, sending it towards Vasily's ankles. He jumps, 1 foot clears the rope, but not the other. You pull hard. Once the head has wrapped itself around Vasily's ankle, he falls backward and into Tristan's arms. It's okay, brother. I've got you. He wraps his arms around Vasily's neck, securing him in a headlock. Lydia nods approvingly as you pull the snake dart back to you, winding it over one shoulder. Nicely done. Vasily reaches into his pocket and pulls out a canister that he smashes into the ground, splitting into a loud, disorienting white light. Flashbang, basically. Regaining your senses, you hear a thud as Vasily throws his head back into Tristan's face, sending him to the floor. Martial Arts Move 101, never release, no matter how much he tries to headbutt you. You glance up in time to see Vasily flee into one of the passages slippery as a snake. Literally, you let go and it's your life on the line, not theirs. What about Colette? Lydia glances at Colette's prone form with blatant disgust. She's not going anywhere. She tried to escape, but her communications were effectively blocked. Well done, Luke. Stop preening and go. This could be a trap. Tristan takes your hand, squeezing your fingers with firm resolve. His touch lends you strength. He's the one who's trapped, not us. You squeeze Tristan's hand and follow Vasily into the darkness. And emerge in the palace lavish throne room. The stone door seals shut behind you, blending seamlessly into the wall. Vasily perches on the Drakovian throne, a gun in one hand and a syringe in the other. Tristan's crown rests on his head. Brother, welcome. How does it feel to see a true king on the throne before you die? Vasily, you're cornered and outnumbered. Vasily tilts his head and the gold chrome of the crown catches the light. Lydia's already taken out your accomplice. She'll be here for you next. She may have bested Colette, but be prepared for that. Before your ambush tonight, we secured the throne room. Lydia will not be joining us. She'll find a way. She knows this palace better than either of us. Lydia is impressive, but not infallible. You'll find her odds of surviving the day are as low as yours. You want to kill Lydia as well as me? Bring your fratricide count to 3. My mother will never let you live. I offered Lydia a choice. A chance to be a true patriot. There's a dangerous glint in his eyes, the eyes of a cornered animal with nothing else to lose. Tread carefully, because he actually has a real gun. Tristan, be careful. If we push him too hard, he'll snap. And we'll just have to keep him talking like old times, partner. Vasily roars and brandishes his gun. You barely resist the urge to flinch. Stop conspiring, it's over. I've won. Don't you see you're in a trap now? Don't you see I've thought of everything? Vasily takes a deep, calming breath and rolls a syringe between his fingers. Come tonight, all the pain, all the heartache, all the mistakes will have been justified. We have to keep him talking. Yeah, but you're more worried about the gun, and I'm more worried about the syringe. Vasily, what is justice to you? Does a vision for your country truly justify this carnage? What happened to diplomacy? You don't understand, Detective. Change is slow, painful. Drakovia's people would be happy to keep dragging their feet for centuries. And if some innocent people have to die, so be it, right? Do not pretend they're all innocent. Not you did a disservice to Drakovia that day by letting you off the hook. What was she even doing in my suite that night? You must have lured her there. Oh, actually, Bass did. He had responded poorly to his threat of blackmail. They argued, and once Bass took his leave, you offered refuge, luring her deeper into the palace, right where you wanted her. Yes, but she had made me so angry. I acted in haste. I made too many mistakes. I thought surely you'd catch me that very night. I had no reason to distrust you. That's what spared you. I sent Chloe after Lydia. And I thank you for that. It taught me to use other siblings' relationship against you. Like Bass. I knew you already suspected him, so I encouraged that instinct with certain insights into his character. When I learned Astrid had been seen Bass in the garden with Nodger the night of her death, I advised her to share. Once you've taken the bait, I began planting evidence, like that old locket you found in Bass's desk. But I only meant to keep you off my trail. I never intended for Bass to be hurt. Your intentions meant nothing. It wasn't an accident. You murdered him. That was a choice. No, I had no choice. It was the last thing in the world I wanted to do. So what went wrong? Bass was smart. He put it all together. I believe he had his suspicions about my involvement in Nodger's death before Marguerite's fashion show. He knew I despised the idea of Tristan on the throne as much as he did. That I was more ambitious than I let on. Once he realized that Nodger's killer and Juliana's were one and the same, he turned on you. He loved Juliana. He lost Marguerite because he blamed Tristan for her death. And he planned to sell you out, so you killed him. I had Colette approach him with a message from Lydia. She told him that Lydia wanted to speak privately with him about me. She showed him to the private box. I came in after with the garrote. When it was done, I had her contact you. Vasily, you couldn't even look him in the eyes. You said you loved him, but you murdered him from behind. Slit his throat, let him bleed out over an empty theater. You don't know what you're talking about. I held Bass as he died. I turned him around and let him see me. I stayed there until the last light of light left his eyes. How noble. Sebastian knew what it meant to sacrifice for the greater good. He loved me. You're an idiot. I imagine that changed when he found out who was responsible for Julie's murder. If Juliana could see you now, she'd be disgusted as the day she wrote that letter. We are finished. I am finished with you. He winces as though hearing her Juliana's rejection again causes him physical pain. Juliana and I shared a love with high highs and low lows. Then why did you kill her? Did her love mean nothing to you? He hesitates, turning the syringe in his hand. His eyes stare past you as if he's remembering clearly the night of her murder. It would be justified to make you relive that night. You deserve to know the consequences of your recklessness. Oh no. Fine. Of course, he's not gonna be like, Ultron and just go, I'm going to kill you now. He's going to relish and tell us all of the secret deeds. I hate villains that have to monologue. Oh, God. At least tell us how you killed Juliana. Let us die with that mystery solved. How long had you planned to murder her? Juliana was never my intended victim. Neither were you, Tristan, at least for a while. In fact, Julie was the one who pitched the act to me at our summer retreat. It's the reason we fell in love. You and Juliana wanted a coup. What were your plans for me in the gentle takeover? Juliana hoped to talk you into abdicating. I thought Father and Queen would have been more convinced. But murder wasn't Juliana's cup of tea. Correct, Julie didn't appreciate the violence in the cultural history, and with her at my side, neither did I. But then Juliana changed sides on you. She decided she wanted to be Tristan's queen instead of yours. She knew that Tristan was the wrong person to take the throne. I assumed you'd soon destroy both your reputations, and she'd tire of being betrothed to a bumbling fool. But you could never let me have anything on my own. Juliana fell under your spell. She decided she wanted you, just like everyone else. So you killed her. No, Chloe, I attempted to talk sense into her. But several things happened that night at Margaret's fashion show. Now playing as Vasily. Tristan decided to leave Margaret's show with her best friend. I need a favor. If the next words out of your mouth are cover for me, it's important. More important than Mag's debut. She's worked hard on this. Oh my god, Vas, chill out. I wouldn't be here if I had a date either. I tried to catch Juliana's eye during this conversation, but she wouldn't so much as look at me. I'll make it up to Max later. I promise. I just need to say I'm in the building if anyone asks where I am. Especially if that person is Mom or Lydia. Where are you going? Is it somewhere fun? Can I come? I'm taking Julie out on the yacht alone, very privately. I was disappointed in Julie as much as I was in Tristan, but when the time came to congratulate Margaret at the show, I tried to cover for them. Where's Tristan and Julie? I want to know if they saw the in-joke I put in look number 4. Tristan and Julie just left. They had a late-night meeting. Now, something to do with the New Zealand ambassador. You know how far ahead they are. But why did Julie go with him? To ply him with coffee, I expect. What a fantastical story, Baz. What? We saw Tristan and his pretty countess run out of here, what, half an hour ago? Whenever the lights first went down. Why would they do that? Carnal urges. But they knew how important tonight was for me. Baz, why did you cover for them? Margaret was so heartbroken, I could have strangled both of the twins then and there. But if the twins who... it wasn't the twins who abandoned Margaret that night. Because I didn't want you to feel this way. I'm sorry, I couldn't talk them out of leaving. Now playing as Chloe. You made it sound like I left on purpose. Juliana and Bass had a major blowout. She needed to get away from him. Ah, yes, Bass, the other of my siblings you humiliated that night. It's a little rich to claim you care about Sebastian now, don't you think? Tristan attacked him, and when Sebastian told Father what you'd done, do you know what he said? No, but I'm sure you're going to tell us. Now playing as Vasily. Now, boys. That's just how Tristan is. You can't take it personally. But it was personal. This isn't how the Crown Prince should behave. Father, show some backbone and discipline him. Perhaps I would if you were brave enough to take these complaints to his mother. God, his father is a real piece of work, I'm gonna be honest. Like, think of it, this whole entire book, he has just been... where? The Queen doesn't want to hear what I had to say, but Tristan can't keep embarrassing the Crown this way. It's his crown to embarrass, son, do not forget that. And our father walked away from us. I don't think I've ever felt so angry in my life. But then Sebastian said something that clarified everything. No one's ever gonna do anything about Tristan. He'll be given free rein until he runs Drakovian into the ground. And just like that, I saw the truth in his words, in the opportunity Tristan's selfishness had given me. Drakovia will not survive him. After all, everyone had seen how drunk Tristan was that night. I procured my supplies, snuck past the guard at the docks, and took one of the skiffs. With the storm approaching, it was easy to determine which course Tristan and Juliana had set. And I anchored the skiff to the yacht and climbed aboard, blowing the whistle Juliana and I had once used to signal each other. Despite everything that had happened between us, despite the way we'd parted, I knew she'd come. You need to go. Your theatrics are exhausting. You could never accept when a scene was finished and when all the cards had been played. But I found a way we can get everything we've always wanted. I reached out to quiet her, just a hand over her mouth, nothing violent. You as king, and you as my queen. How many times do I have to tell you that I don't want that anymore? I don't believe you. We spent too many years making plans for you to throw them aside for him. He is my fiancé. By arrangement. But you wanted to marry me first. I have more than one letter to prove it. Then you ought to put more stock into my final letter. Julie, we can save Drakovia together. What I know is that you'll make a wonderful queen, and I'll make the best king Drakovia has ever had. Please don't make me do this again. We were teenagers. When we fell in love, kids didn't know anything about the world. There's another way. I showed her the syringe I had stopped to collect on my way to the docks. A lethal dose of glitter. Vasily, what is that? It'll look like Tristan has suffered an OD. Everyone will believe it. What is wrong with you? I'm not going to murder the man I love for you. You'd be doing it for Drakovia. You used to say that you'd do anything to safeguard the future of our country. Vasily, I'm safeguarding Drakovia from you. Tristan is a better man than you've ever given him credit for. He'll make a better king than you could have... Oh, I didn't realize I had moved until I looked down and saw my hand holding the syringe to her neck. The shock of the injection sent Julie reeling backward. She tripped, hitting her head hard against the railing. Julie? I knelt, took her in my arms. Her breasts were so shallow, and her eyes, they were open, staring at me in betrayal. Oh, God. Her breath rattled in her lungs, the glitter shimmering on her neck as she took her last breath. Please come back to me. I held her close for what felt like hours, but Tristan never showed, and I realized what a terrible gift Juliana's death had given me. I'll make it worth it, Julie, I promise. Drakovia will owe you her future. Implicating Tristan in the death of one of Drakovia's most beloved figures would work just as well as killing him. And now playing as Chloe, Vasily rolls the syringe between his fingers. So I took Juliana on to the skiff, gave her a sea burial miles away. The more mystery surrounding her death, the guiltier Tristan would look. You never loved her, you bastard. You could never have killed her if you did. I wouldn't expect you to understand. Try us. You've gotten Tristan banished. What came next? Why didn't you pass the act then? Tristan was out of the way. You had a clear path forward. Sebastian tried in the wake of Juliana's death, but most people were fatigued by the talk of heirs. I advised him to leave it until things calmed down, but we left it too long. What happened? You did. You found my idiot brother, dragged him into a murder investigation. Tristan made himself into a hero. The Drakovian papers filled up with speculations about the innocence. There was a petition to reinstate you. The Queen spoke about bringing you home. And you couldn't handle being swept aside again. So you sent that letter to Juliana's mother as pretending she'd written it about Tristan. Were you also responsible for that doctored confession they played in court? The god made his own choices. I merely made a suggestion. Vasily's gaze slides to you. He shakes his head, tutting with what seems like genuine disappointment. Then you and Margaret interfered. Nadja and Bass would still be alive if not for you. Vasily, don't offload your guilt onto us. Nobody slit their throats but you. Nobody forced you. We'll agree to disagree. Vasily takes a deep breath, centering himself. He raises his syringe. But you'll come to understand, Tristan, this is your one opportunity to build a bit of Drakovia. By dying. By clearing the way for someone who actually wants the throne, for someone who wants to serve. I may not be the best candidate to lead Drakovia, Vasily. I'll grant you that. But I'm a far better option than you. What a shame that you won't live to see how wrong you are. Vasily gun points in your direction as he approaches Tristan. The syringe primed, you stare at it, searching for a final stall tactic. So how are you going to spin our murder-suicide pact? Overdose! Your dealings with the glitter and its dealers are well enough documented, Chloe. It would not take much to convince people that you're just another dirty cop who fell prey to substance abuse. Sadly, you and your party animal boyfriend, Tristan, chased higher highs. Your progression to unrefined glitter didn't end well. A lethal dose of unrefined glitter. If that enters Tristan's veins, he's dead. And your other victims? How do you explain them away? But Chloe killed Nadja in a fit of fury. You killed Sebastian in pursuit of petty childhood rivalry. The glitter withdrawal makes people do such evil things, don't you think? Vasily, we won't be your pawns. I'm afraid you don't have a choice. If Tristan doesn't let me inject him, I won't hesitate to shoot you in the head. In fact, I encourage you to resist, big brother. Murder-suicide will work just as well as a double overdose. Vasily lowers the syringe, poising it over Tristan's jugular. Any last words for your beloved Tristan, or shall I just say your partner, since you seem to think we're all blithering idiots? Tristan grits his teeth, his gaze finding yours, his eyes soften, lips shaping your name. Chloe, You leap to the side, lashing out with a snake dart. Vasily fires his gun, but the bullet whistles past you. The snake's mouth makes contact with the syringe, knocking it from his hand. No. Aha. Tristan catches the syringe before it can fall to the marble floor. Got it. This was your final piece of evidence? Really? Tristan lunges for Vasily, brandishing a dagger from his sleeve. Vasily spins, but too late. A streak of red blossoms on his arm. You lunge at Vasily before he can recover, sending him crashing to the ground. You land on top of him and scowl as he tries to point his gun at you. Yeah, no, I'm punching a smug face, as much as I'd like to wrap the snake around his neck. Eat this, your highness. You draw your arm back and bring your fist down hard against his cheek. You hear bone crack beneath your knuckles. No, keep going. No, seriously, keep going. I'm serious. He drops the gun in his shock. Ready to surrender? Never. He howls, drawing yet another dagger from his sleeve, but Tristan easily takes it from him. It's over, Vasily. You made your final play and you lost. It's not over until one of us is dead. I'm not going to kill you. But I will. Vasily spits at Tristan's shoes. Why not? You have the upper hand. I'm a traitor, a threat to your reign. I will always be. Prove that you're worthy of Drakovia's throne. Kill me. Tristan looks at you, seeking guidance. You can see that a part of him wants to take revenge on Vasily, but Tristan's not a killer. Mm. This one's a tough one. I'm gonna have to sit and think about this one for a second. Okay. As much as I want to do it, and trust me, I do. 3 victims on his hands. Technically 4 with Colette because she was manipulated, let's be honest. Chloe is supposed to be a guiding light. I look at these series like Lucifer and you know, Chloe Decker from literally the show Lucifer. And Chloe has to be a good cop. It's one of the reasons why she carries a taser. Take him into custody. You lean down looking Vasily in the eye. Sorry, Vasily. You're gonna live long enough to see Tristan take the throne and sentence you for every one of your crimes. The Drakovian sentence for my crimes is death, you cowards! Not in my Drakovia. This is why you're unworthy. This is why I should be... Vasily falls silent, his eyes rolling back as Tristan's fist connects with his temple. Tristan turns away from Vasily's shoulders, drooping with exhaustion. You follow him and wrap him in your arms. We're safe. Tristan presses his lips to yours, kissing you long and hard. He pulls back, drinking the sight of you in. You're safe. I was so afraid for you. You were afraid. I almost watched you get pumped full of glitter. One of these days, we really need to find a more low-key couples activity. First, we need to find a way out of this damn throne room. A heavy thud comes from the doors. It sounds like a battering ram. Yeah, no, we said Lydia'd eventually come. Or Lydia's biceps. The doors burst open and she pummels inside, bloodied but standing strong. She raises an eyebrow at the sight of Vasily's unconscious body. He's still alive? I want him to live with this guilt for a very, very long time. Your call. What happened to Colette in the end? She made the fatal decision of believing that I spared her at full strength all these years. Or sparred with her, excuse me. Lydia stoops, picking up Vasily's crown. She flicks a drop of blood from the jewels and offers it to Tristan. This belongs to you. Tristan reluctantly accepts the crown. He stares out at the polished gold, reflecting his uncertainty straight back at him. Not yet, but soon. How soon? Tristan meets your gaze. You can tell that he understands what you're really asking. How long until we exist in 2 irreconcilable worlds? 3 weeks. Dun 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 dun. That's what it feels like. This damn series. Finally, it's over. We knew who the killers are. Keyword killers because Colette was in on it. Just saying. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you do enjoy the work that I do. Without further ado, let me say the following. I was right. Everybody thought it, like, remember when we got penalized for saying it was just one killer? Or, excuse me, we said twins, but it was, oh, it's only one killer. And the twins were ruled out, right? I was right. So the game tried to misdirect us and you know, change our opinion, and I stuck with it. Because it was too perfect for one. It was too perfect for one. That's why I continued to line up as 2. So yeah. Anyway, I've been asking for weeks now what you all thought, and a lot of you, you know, had a lot of different answers. So yeah, I myself Didn't know precisely who, but I knew it was more than one, and I had my suspicions. Vasily was too nice, to the whole 9 yards, and if we've learned anything from Pixelberry, that's kind of a giveaway now from them, is, if you remember the one book, right? Oh my god, it was such a shocker, because he played the stupid, idiot, bumbling moron, and that was the only time that I was kind of like, guffawed, is what we'll go with. I was just completely baffled. And ever since then, I'm like, you know what? That's one of the reasons why I kind of leaned a little on Astrid versus questioning it and everything else in the story. I didn't want to let up on anyone who may or may not be acting as too stupid or too kind or too bubbly. And Vasily was one of those people that we left untouched, if you think about it. And, even shared the bowl of cereal with us, and he was just so pleasant, wasn't he? Yes. He just had that villain vibe, let's be honest. But yeah, no. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Let me know what you all think. Catch you all later. Peace out.